Well, hello everyone. My name is Klara Hofer, and I'm a fourth-year student of Digital Media and Information Studies and Business and Management. I'm mostly interested in how new technologies can be implemented in different areas of business. So, one day this summer, I woke up into what seemed like a pretty normal sunny morning, except that it wasn't, as the whole world was hunting Pokemon. Creatures that I've been obsessed with around 10 years ago were now in the city center, in my room, and even in our car. And all I had to do was download an app. And this is the best way to define the main topic of this talk, augmented reality. Therefore, taking something digital and placing it into the real environment. Now, with the technology rising every day, it is important to study it a bit more in details. And this time we'll have a look at it from the marketing's perspective. So as many of you know, Pokemon Go was responsible for a mass euphoria this summer. It became the fastest downloaded app in the history of the Apple Store, and people spent more time on it than on Facebook. Consequently, Nintendo shares went up, despite the fact that they had absolutely nothing to do with the app, but were the owners of the franchise. And numerous other stories about how Pokemon Go helped certain businesses emerged. In fact, I have one of my own. Back in Slovenia, in my hometown, there is a specific bar that doesn't have the best reputation, so you wouldn't see many young people going there. But because the bar was now close to a Pokemon gym, it was suddenly packed with people playing the game. So consequently, the problem was that Pokemon Go left rapidly as it came, and Nintendo shares went down, and the bar went back to its usual. So this was not the first time that I started to think about augmented reality, but it did sparkle my interest into what it is about AR that can attract people and whether it can in fact be beneficial for certain businesses. Did you know that you can now see how a certain piece of furniture would look like at your place before you even buy it? Or that you can see how Converse shoes would look like on you? Or that you can bring your Disney coloring book to life while coloring it? So what I'm trying to discover is whether these kind of applications are making you more likely to buy specific products, and whether you are more likely to be affected with the love for the brand. So at this stage, I'm basically posing myself the following research question. To what extent can augmented reality help induce brand loyalty? Now, in order to answer this, we first need to have a look at what brand loyalty is and how it's connected to the phenomena of marketing. So, brand loyalty is basically described as a biased perception towards a specific brand. So if you are brand loyal, you are more likely to buy specific brands' products, you will pay more for them, and you are more likely to recommend the brand to your friends, for example. Now, in marketing, there are a few paradigms that can be basically indirectly connected to the phenomena of brand loyalty. The first one is that it costs 5 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing one. The second one is that loyal customers are simply more profitable. And the third one is the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule as we marketers know it, meaning that 80% of wealth is distributed among 20% of the population. And this can easily be translated into the area of marketing. Now, there are many controversies about whether brand loyalty is important or not. The majority, however, does agree that it is an essential matter of every business. Now, augmented reality in marketing is not a novelty either. For quite some time, the technology has existed in the shape of quick response, or QR codes. So can I ask how many of you have heard of those? Well, it seems that this is an example of how not to use augmented reality. QR codes were not accepted well among the general public, mainly because they were poorly implemented into marketing strategies. They were put on subways where there was no reception, or high on billboards with basically no possibility to scan them. And people fear that AR will suffer the same fate. However, despite the threat, some big brands, corporations such as Yelp, Lego, and Coca-Cola are already implementing this technology into their marketing strategies. So how does it all connect? Well, that was pretty much what I wanted to discover. Turns out there has not been much research done on my question, but I did gather 3 main points. The first one is that augmented reality marketing is a form of experiential marketing that creates a multi-sensory experience. It also tries to create a special bond between a customer and the brand. And the second one was that people are in fact interested in these multi-sensory opportunities. The third one was that people were more willing to buy and pay more for a toy when they were exposed to an AR advertisement. However, no long-term effects of such ads were researched, making smaller brands unsure whether to invest in such a costly technology because it is costly. So what I did was I gathered 16 participants and I gave them different brand-specific augmented reality tools to try. In total, I had 18 brands, and each of the participants needed to try out 3. In the beginning, they were simply given a questionnaire that tested their perceptions towards specific brands. And my goal was to match participants with brands that they felt most neutral about in order to avoid bias. They were then given a month and a half to try out the apps. And then we held a discussion where we basically just explored how they felt about their overall experience. After the focus group, they were given the exact same questionnaire so that I was able to compare answers prior to and after the AR exposure. Now, the focus group findings were very insightful, in fact. So the majority said that they've enjoyed their experience. However, there were some issues because technology. And the majority said that they felt that their experience was fun, helpful, useful, modern, innovative, and experiential. And these are the terms that need particular caution when implementing AR, as it has to not fail on these aspects if it wants a general good reception. What I've also found is that initial experience dictates whether a person will want to engage with augmented reality apps in the future. And a parallel with QR codes can be drawn here, because people learn not to expect too much from QR codes due to their previous negative experience. And the same seems to be the case with augmented reality. So poor implementation, in fact, seems like the major drawback for a possible future of augmented reality in marketing. If implementation is fine, however, the majority said that they would actually prefer AR advertising in comparison to traditional advertising. And this is something that needs to be acknowledged. Among all of the brands that I assigned, there were obviously some that performed better than the others. However, those that underperformed lost way more than just funds for inefficient implementations, because the majority agreed that they've lost some trust towards the brands that underperformed. In fact, one of my participants said something that I felt was really applicable and relevant, and it was about Mercedes. He couldn't make the app to work on his phone. And what he said was simply, as it didn't work on my phone, it put some suspicion into my head as to what else doesn't work with Mercedes. And basically, upon further research, I found that he was not the only person having these kind of problems. So you can see that inefficient implementation actually managed to diminish brand's reputation. I did, however, perform some calculations of the questionnaires that I got. However, to be honest, the answers weren't much different. So basically, the brands that underperformed during the discussion underperformed on paper as well, and the other way around. What I did find, however, and is extremely important and basically is significant for this research, is that the overall perception of all of the participants towards all of the brands changed positively. And according to statistics, it was statistically significant. Therefore, yes, augmented reality can help induce brand loyalty if implemented correctly. It has to be fun, engaging, it has to be unique, helpful, and it has to provide an experience. So when you go home today, or maybe during lunch, try out the technology yourself and see whether your future looks augmented. Thank you.
Again, any questions?
So thank you for your talk. That was actually fascinating. My question has to do with the group that that you chose, or I don't know if this kind of research has been done before, but I was wondering, did you find any similarities or differences regarding the types of response that you got from people? So, in other words, was there a specific group of people who said, yes, we want more of this, or no, that wouldn't make any difference in terms of education, social background, and so on?
Okay, so what I did was actually, I didn't mention it here because it would be too long, but I gathered two different age groups. One were mature participants, and the others were students from digital media and business, just because convenience. But the thing is that actually mature participants were more excited about the technology. So that was pretty fun and interesting. I mean, but the thing is that one of the mature participants said that if they want to implement it furtherly, they should educate the older generation a bit more about what it is. But other than that, yeah, the majority was pretty, unified when it came to responses.
Okay, so I know there are two different things, but augmented reality and virtual reality are pretty similar, and obviously virtual reality with also the new Samsungs and the new iPhones are becoming more and more popular. What is your opinion on that? Do you think that virtual reality or augmented reality will be the step towards virtual marketing?
Well, in research, basically they are putting augmented reality and virtual reality as pretty much the same. It's not the same though, because if you, for example, look at a continuum, there is a virtual reality on this side, and here is the real environment. And augmented reality is more close to the real environment than to virtual reality, but just because of the similar characteristics, they are putting them together in research, and apparently, yes, both will be really big in the future. Honestly, myself, I am more a fan of augmented reality just because I think it's cooler and can be implemented in more areas.
I have a question about data. So already as a Facebook user, I am incredibly frustrated by Google giving me the perfect ads for me, and I see the same top that I chose not to buy on ASOS 10 times. And when it comes to augmented reality, the kind of data that will not only be from our searches, but it'll also be our location, it'll be the people we see, and the people we interact with. How do you think, and that data can be used very, very badly. So what do you think about data security when it comes to this kind of advertising?
Well, your question is really, really relevant with this topic because it seems that one of the major drawbacks is in fact the ethical issues about the data. Because, for example, there is an app that you can download now and it's working towards face recognition. So basically you'll be able to walk around the street and point a phone towards, I don't know, your friend, and you will see his Facebook profile, his Twitter profiles, everything. But that's a different stage because this is marketing and the rest is just, but yeah, it can definitely be used unethically. And I honestly, I do not support this, but as a generation that already has all of the data out there, I don't think it will matter that much to everyone just because we're so okay with having our data everywhere.